Sheri says is happy once more as your podcast for everything development related, growth related, self care related, and just being happy related. Does that even make any sense? Absolutely not, but that's all right. Sheri has so much to say. Some things you wonder should they even be said. But okay, enough play on words. And you have heard in our first edition a conversation that started with Steve Cole. But some of you might be wondering, who is he? You know, nice voice, sound thoughts. We'd like to even have a discussion on some of the salient points that he has presented, but who is he? So sit back, relax, and let's see how much we can discover about Steve Cole. I'll tell you just a little bit though. He's a published author and he is a whiz in the field of IT. But of course, it's not my place to tell you too much about him. He will do so himself. In order to succeed, there must be a strategy, a method to the madness, if you would want to call it that. Systems make for clean, easy flows. That is, putting that strategy to work. So, let's go. Strategy. I like that. And so it's not by accident. Everything has to have a system.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a workable system. And it segues me back to your tools of the trade. A few clients, people who, and I'll jump back to saying prospects, because 9 out of 10 people ask me for my website, never book. The question usually is, so what's your website? Can I look on it to see this trip that you're speaking of? And I've learned from another initiative that website does not sell. Website is a window into what's available. Now, if I am doing a customized trip for you, that trip has never been thought of in the way you want it executed, so it would not be sitting on a website. So I would need to pull elements of it and make it into a doable event that we can now send you on a PDF, nicely laid out. We can do on a video and send you. There's so many different channels that we can use to bring that to life. But certainly, it's not going to be sitting on a website because it's customizable. So the question begs itself, is a website a must-spend, must-have for inception? And the question answers itself from where I sit, because I could never put enough on a website for you to find what you're looking for.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing is, what I've come to realize is that when I just started out, right, I was doing I was running ads on my website, trying to get customers onboarded, right? And I thought that I had a glorious front end that could just catch people, and the pitch would be so strong that they'd be buying off the books, right? And just like you said, one in 10, if I'm so lucky, would buy, right? And that was when I was running in the start my affiliate business, right?
Right.
And I actually decided that I was gonna go ahead now and buy leads. So I would point persons directly to my offer, and expect that I get a glorious take up, and dud, right? I just got like $4.94 sale after spending $200 to acquire that service, right? And I said, I'm obviously doing something wrong, and I need to figure out what exactly I'm doing wrong. Well, I know what I was doing wrong. I actually was not trying to seek help, right? One of the things is that as business owners, I think we need mentors, right?
Oh, yes.
I think that it's easy to find um, yourself navigating, making the mistakes, bumping your foot in the road, but it can be costly. You know what I mean?
Extremely.
It leaves scars, Sharon.
And sometimes you just never recover because the disappointment is overwhelming.
Yes. You know what I mean? That's primarily what I was doing wrong. So, I mean, I found that I had to get guidance, and I had to look for someone who I know who has done it already, right? I mean, why not, look for somebody who can tell you, hey, when you come down the road, stay to the right because there's a huge pothole on the left. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, yeah, that was a big mistake. And it costed me a whole lot trying to find out certain things on my own. And the biggest problem is that I've come to learn is that there isn't an economy of one.
Ah,
We all need each other. We're one huge network, and we really should not be trying to do this on our own. I know that there are a lot of solopreneurs who say, boy, nobody can do this as good as I can. So I have to do all of this myself, you know? And it's a very, very treacherous road that we're treading on if we should continue along a path like that, you know? High value.
and I'm glad you said that because I know.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, man, go ahead.
Um, the thought that came to me was another conversation where the primary in the business passed away, whether suddenly or through ill health, and the business ceased to exist many times within a year. And many times it was a very thriving concern. Chances are there were middle managers, there were clerical staff. It was a proper business, many times running for 25, 30 years. But then the primary died and the business belly up. And persons will say, how on earth did this happen? Was there no succession planning? Was there no understudy? Was there no belief that somebody needed to be in place to carry on? And that's something that I want us to talk about as well.
Yeah, and it's a very real thing. Let me share a story with you. So, I like to educate myself, right? So I spend a lot of money on trainings, even if it doesn't seem like it's relevant to what I'm doing right now. I always try to learn. I'm big on education. I don't know. But the thing is that I wanted to learn about proposal writing, right? And there was this 3-day proposal writing that I had done, that course, and it was an international certification. I wasn't really there for the certification, but just the knowledge. But I did get the cert. Notwithstanding that, I wanted to figure out how I can petition, venture capitalists to generate funds and how to efficiently do that, right? Because I'm keen on startups, right? So that was
Right.
how do you create your elevator pitch, within 2 minutes, what can you say that summarizes the whole business? You know, those type of skill sets are invaluable, I believe, for young business owners, right? So I went and
Right.
got myself the training. So on this training now, I met this lady, and she had this this awesome sauce, right? And nobody has ever done it the way she has done it before. And I guess nobody thought it was possible, but she did it. And she too was trying to get her business moving, but she had obviously issues with financing because let's face it, manufacturing is not the cheapest. CapEx is like through the roof, right? So I approached her and I said, look, I love what you're doing. It's awesome.
Right.
And let me get in on this. I'll partner with you, right? And she started to share with me a lot of the challenges that she was having with finances. And I round up a couple of my business partners to help me to get her up and running. So we would have bought into the business, get into the directorship and all of that. At the time we met her, she wasn't even legit in terms of, being registered to the company registrar or anything like that, right? So she was really at an incubator stage. So when I asked her what she was doing, she had that sauce in like about 2 supermarkets only in the planet. So we were
Oh,
like, we were like, what?
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, ground floor. We're taking this elevator up. you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we began the
Yes.
negotiation process, and out of goodwill, we funded some of our project initially, with the intention of seeing where this could take us. And we let her know that, look, if we're gonna be partners, it's very critical that ingredients, how you make it, the makeup, whatever, we need to know. You understand? We need access to it. If you're gonna put in a vault somewhere and give us the code,
Of
fine.
course.
But we need to have access to this, because if you drop out by any means, we need to make this business return our investment.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
That's right.
the lady hug up the thing. I mean, she literally married to the business. You understand? Wholly and solely, she was not about to release that information, even when we were ready to put ink to paper, having all the lawyers involved and all of that. And she still
Wow.
didn't want to let it go, you know? All right, so I mean, that didn't go anywhere, right? And we actually lost. We didn't even recoup, the initial investment that we had done, just marginal. But the point is that one, obviously her biggest problem was trust, you know,
Yes.
and married. The funny thing is, I said she married to the sauce, but the truth is that business can be like that, right? And one of the things, you have to be careful about choosing your partners. So, I guess out of that story, there's another lesson there too, in terms of, sometimes it's important not to jump into bed too soon.
I like that. And I mean, put the one whole segment now on choosing your partners,
Yeah.
and it could flow into all aspects of life. Well, look at this.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of life lessons can be learned about this thing, you know, this thing called business. And yeah, persons can be a very, very, very closeted about what they have. And let's face it, there's a risk in everything, certainly in business. And you have to weigh your cost and see what is possible. I mean, like for instance, if I'm running a taxi, that's a low, that's a low, what to call that now? The ability to get in is low, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
low barrier to entry, right?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, whatever it is that you have as your value proposition cannot be something that is, tangible. Because let's face it, it can't be the car. If you even if you have a Beamer, BMW for those who don't know, and you carry customers in there, there's a probability that somebody else can get a Beamer and brings customers in there. So it has to be it has to be a little bit more than just depending on the sauce. You know what I mean? And she didn't understand that her success was not hinged on whether or not somebody found out what's in the sauce, right? That could not be her value proposition, you know? Because somebody from China can get a whole lot of sauce and backward engineer it. So
Oh yes.
I'm not dissing the Chinese by any means. Just saying.
Not at all. But it is real life, because and I'm kind of, I might be a little silent, but I'm really just mulling over everything that you have said in this segment, because fear, you say trust, I say fear, and they walk hand in hand. You're so fearful that, Jamaican vernacular, we say want a loser.
Yeah.
Because fear paralyzes you, and to the point where you will never know how trustworthy someone potentially is until you take a step of faith.
Mm-hmm. And
Being
what's
fully
unfortunate?
aware
Sorry.
that you might succeed. Go right ahead.
No, you said something very profound, and I wanted to jump in on that because I honestly believe that we were cultured that way as Jamaicans. I mean, you know, think
Yes.
about it. The school system, the way we have been taught, we are competitive. Yeah, cool, but everybody's afraid to get F. Nobody wants to fail. Um, you know, and as a result, you know, it creates this thing in your mind that, boy, I cannot afford to fail, and it's such a it's man, it's so wrong, because in order to succeed, you have to learn to make some mistakes. That's how you learn. When you're a child, did you stumble and never get up when you were trying to learn to walk? Don't make no sense.
Never learned to walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so in other words, it's not natural. we were obviously taught to think that kind of way. So that is actually the good news, because we can unlearn it.
Yes.
or learn something else, acquire new habits.
And I have a personal experience with that, and I've had to unlearn that learning. And I tell you, our schooling in Jamaica is excellent at ensuring that you learn very early how to be self-reliant. I really want to say selfish, but I'm trying to make it nicer.
I'll work with self-reliant.
Self-reliant is nice. But for me, twice, and this is in 2 different continents, I had to unlearn that behavior. Because when I studied in Spain, this way that you cover your works and nobody don't steal your answers. I discovered
Don't want your
that
copies.
no copying over here. That was not the Spanish way at all, because the class success was as important as the individual student success. And I'd never seen that before. And then as I ventured into the travel industry and getting all of my certifications to be able to operate officially and efficiently, that was another thing that hit me like a bomb. You were given all of these courses and all of these pass mark. And of course, I am being the typical Jamaican student, sweating because, oh my God, all of this information I need to remember. And then I get to the test and the material opens up. It's all being done online. The material is opened up to the side of the question sheets. And so I can literally scroll through the material, recap, and find the right answer to fill in on my sheet to get the 80% pass mark to be certified. And I thought at first that these people probably do not realize that this window is open. So let me hurry up and do the test and pass it before they pick up and close that window. And I did that a few times until I realized, no, these are different entities, these are different companies, and it's the same operation. Something is wrong. And so very carefully I asked, because if it was a flaw in this huge system, I didn't really want to be the one to point it out, but at the same time, I was feeling a little bit guilty. Like I was copying, I was stealing. And I was shocked when I was told, we want you to pass. We want you to succeed. And you don't have to remember all of that, because after you have passed, you can go back to the material and review if you need to catch up. And furthermore, every so often we will update it as systems change within the supplier. And I was in shock, because never before had I ever heard that there was an open book test. It's literally an open book test.
Yeah. The first time I encountered that was in college. I'm like, what? Open book test?
Somebody's crazy.
Yeah, what's even more crazy is that people still fail.
Oh geez. Oh geez. Yeah, that is something else. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. But you know what that actually tells you though? You know what you know when you know what you know, right? Looking in no book now gonna help you.
It is true.
But you know, the funny thing is that we have to, it's a language, and the language comes out of the thinking. You know what I know? One of the things that I've noticed, even the difference between different what do you call it now? Domains, right? Look at the language of a marketer versus the language of an engineer. If a marketer puts out to get a job for a new marketing agent, they'll say, are you focused and reliable, willing to get on the best staff there is? Come and join with us, send in your resume, blah blah blah, right? As opposed to, if you look at that of an engineer, is like, you must have a master's in technology of blah 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 or equivalent. You must have supervisory management. You must have, you know, and they articulate all these different credentials that you must have. So I mean, if you are a brilliant spark, you know, you're up on the up and coming, but you see one line of something that you do not have, you feel discouraged and probably don't want to apply. Because like, I don't have that.
Right. Right.
No, I don't have that.
And then the question begs itself. There's some of us who have the audacity to apply and to be shortlisted as well. Turning up for an interview when, having gotten there, you see your competition and you right away start to diminish yourself.
Yeah.
Knowing that based on what you have seen in the persona or what they drove there or whatever other tangibles, I certainly would not be considered. And then having that mind-blowing experience when you are selected. And people will say, but how come? And if you are fortunate enough along the line, you will be told, you had something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something about you that we thought was trainable. There was an energy, there was a smile that was infectious. There was a go-getter attitude that we have not seen in any of the other candidates. And you leave excited but shocked. Because how did this really happen? Because you see, coming right back to the human capital, we forget the most important raw material, the value of the human spirit.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, one of the things that I have come to realize, being on both sides of that coin, right? In terms of one being an employee or potential employee looking to be employed, or sitting on the seat of employing persons, right? And I come to the place where we never realize that when we're sitting across the table, we're actually talking to human beings, man.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And that's why we're shaking in our boots like, oh my God, I wonder if them system really need this at work yet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that, and it's a human being across the table. And we have certain biases in terms of what we're looking for, you know, in a prospective employee, right? You want somebody that adds value to the table, man, bring something to the table. And every business, I believe, has some basic tenets in which it is founded on, you know, integrity,
Yes.
you know, loyalty. What are we looking for? You know? Listen, I've sat there in interviews, you know, and people are lying to me through their teeth, you know, man.
Oh my God.
And I'm saying, being that I'm the subject area expert, you don't really think somebody knows say I lie at you. You know, wrong but strong.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's funny.
But you know, since we're talking about that, I want to flip the coin still at the interviewer's table. That statement that has crushed so many of us, you're overqualified.
Oh yeah.
You're overqualified, but you have not been gainfully employed for the past 2 years. You're overqualified, but your student loan is now going to collections. You're overqualified, but you literally did not have the fare. You had to borrow it to come here. You're overqualified, but the jacket, the blazer, the shoes, the handbag that you are currently using to present a profile that looks acceptable, it was borrowed. You're overqualified, but you're hungry. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, never mind all that. On paper, your paper tells me I won't be keeping you for too long.
Yes.
I think.
Oh, that's what paper says.
I think that it's I think it's small-mindedness. I'm sorry if it hurts somebody when I said that. I struggle with it because I've seen where people say, boy, if me take this a person and me go train them, you know, me not keep them for more than 1 year. So what?
But what could that 1 year bring to you?
Exactly.
How could that 1 year
Exactly.
catapult you into stardom, quote unquote?
Oh my God, I can't believe you're thinking like that. Exactly. How much value can this person bring to the table in 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And what if this person is a loyalist?
Exactly.
What if you just save that person from homelessness and they will never leave you? They've made that up in their minds, but you can't see that.
What about the flip side? What about the person that I have for 10 years in my company that I would have loved to leave? Because the 10 years that they've been there, all they've been doing is giving me 1 year of service 10 times.
There you go.
No growth.
You are always being reported, you're always being corrected, there's always disciplinary action. You have the more pink paper on your file.
You know, or worse yet, right? Like you have someone who is in the system. They show up early, they're on time, they come in and they mark the register, they're there by 7 o'clock, and they leave by 4. Or there by 8:30 and they leave by 5.
Mm-hmm.
But what have they done within the period that they signed in? Right?
Is it measurable?
Am I getting the value for my money?
Mm-hmm.
Am I just paying for their hours, or am I paying for productivity?
There you go.
You know? And that is the difference between an employee and an employer, because we have to look for, as employers, value, because that is the value that is being transferred to the external world.
That is true, and it's funny that you should say that, because in my first venture, I had a trading as, and I employed an admin assistant. We had the same first name, and we were friends, but she had a need, and for me, it was compassion over ability. So when she joined, I wanted to help her to get out of her situation, which is never necessarily a good thing to do, but we learn. But one thing she said to me that, and it's been years, I think my son was probably 3, 4, and now he's an adult, but I've never forgotten it. She said to me, Sharon, there was an issue. I think I was away translating for a company, and for the 2 weeks I was gone, nothing happened. No business came in, nothing. I came back, and all the money that I made translating for that company, I paid her for her salary for that fortnight. And I was livid.
Mm.
And so I asked her the question, and I said, but how is it? She said, Sharon, I'll never be an employer. I'm an employee. You've got to get that. So don't expect that when you're gone, I'm going to be doing what you would do to get business in. I'm an employee. That's what I am. And that branded itself into my heart, into my soul, into my soul. I'll never forget it.
Oh boy. I had a colleague of mine who went into this company, and I went in as a general manager. And one of the things that he observed was that the managers were going off on, some serious conferences and,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And he realized that when he checked the books, I mean, he saw that the revenues were fluctuating and not
Okay.
predictable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he looked at his walking customers, he realized that, one, they were diminished, and two, they were not scaling, meaning that in the trajectory, in the lifespan of his customers, they were not going down the funnel. You understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
he realized that obviously he's losing people. And he decided to flip the script, told all the managers that for the next year and a half, there will be absolutely no conference, no training for them. And he decided to put all the training funds into the line staff. And he had
Okay.
I think what you call them again, silent shopper or something like that.
Oh, yes. Those secret shoppers.
Yeah,
Secret
yeah,
shoppers.
yeah. He had people come in and do transaction as walk-in to and have them report their experiences and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, when he got the report, he did mass training with the frontline staff. And I remember him sharing
Mm-hmm.
with me one particular, as a matter of fact, I was there with him in a regular conversation. We're having a drink, and somebody called, and they were saying that the other person on the line was saying, "Boy, I can't believe." Like, let's say let's use your name. Let's say Sharon, right? So I can't believe what Sharon just did. Can you imagine that the customer walked in and she had the customer waiting for 5 minutes, right? Before she even acknowledged the customer. And I had to literally run after the customer to get them back into the building to find out what exactly is it that they needed.
Wow.
And I'll never forget his response. He just calmly said, "Okay, prepare her severance check."
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I couldn't help but asking. I was like, why no consideration, no hearing, no, he said they're highly trained. They know what to do.
Okay. Okay. So they have lost sight of why they're there.
Yeah. Well, suffice it to say, today that business is booming, even during this pandemic. You know why?
Okay.
Happy people. Happy people produce happy customers. The staff.
That's correct, That is so right.
They are proud to wear the shirts with the brand on it on the street.
Yes.
And it tells you, right? When people are elevated and feel like they're contributing to a greater purpose, that's huge. You know what's even more huge? The boss care.
Yes. Yes. But then too, if we were to flip that same script again with the boss caring, you have those who take that as an invitation to slack off.
Yeah, well, that's why he told the guy to prepare the girl's severance check. Because
Okay,
in his mind, those person are a minority. Yeah.
Okay.
So the principle of reciprocity.
And you want to feed. Yes.
Yeah, the principle of reciprocity is real and is universal. You know what I mean?
So.
So if I am getting much personally, I am developing this company is facilitating my growth. That's what creates loyalty.
Indeed.
I want to give back. I want to give more because I owe this success that I'm having to this company.
But it is something that I don't know if I am broad brushing, but I don't think we're seeing it as much as we need to in our local sphere.
To be honest
here
with you,
in Jamaica.
I might sound like a theorist, a theoretical person, because to be honest with you, these millennials nowadays, they're not that loyal. They're about that money, that paper.
But it comes from deep down too, because we have heard youngsters say, my mother, father, auntie, my significant elder told me when I start this job, don't try to act like you're coming to save the world. Don't go and give in too much. Don't act like you want to take over the company from the boss. Just do your due.
Ah,
And so it filters through because I genuinely see youngsters who want to make an impression, but either the elder in the home or the spoiled employees that are already in the system will tap them on the shoulder and say, "Look, miss, slow down. Is who you're trying to impress? No, not like this. Mm-mm. You came here and saw all of us. No, not like this at all. What you trying to show up?
mm-hmm.
They're not going to treat you any more special than the rest of us. Check your role."
Yeah. And Sharon, let me tell you what that comes down to. Culture. Unfortunately,
Yes.
many of us in our organizations, we have this tendency of just focusing on the numbers, focusing on the KPIs, the key performance indicators, focusing on the trajectory of the organization in terms of where we are relative to where we need to be, um, and forgetting people, right? Key asset, right? Now, here's the thing. When you are focusing on those things, though they are very important, if you fail to bring people with you, they're going to take you out. Right?
Truly, truly.
Yeah,
So,
because people don't care one hoot what you have to say unless they know you care. That's just the truth. And
yes,
the
yes,
culture, if
yes.
we when we focus on those other things, what we do is we leave culture to chance, right? And remember, everybody has
Yes.
different background, which means that everybody has their own idiosyncrasies. They have different perspective on life, different worldview, and they're all bringing that to the table. So you have to be very deliberate about creating a culture in your organization that you want, right? So if you want a culture where persons are working together, team oriented, then you want to create rewards that are team oriented as opposed to, say, employee of the year. you know?
Yes, singling out. Yes, you see, it comes right back to this well, we're still calling it selfish, self-reliant, this
Mm-hmm.
this this um highlighting one over team.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the competitiveness, which was supposed to be a driving force for growth, becomes a hindrance
Mm-hmm.
because now it is laced with suspicion.
Mm-hmm.
It is laced with all kind of unpleasant attempts to get one over the other, and trying to be noticed, really.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, we still want to caution anybody listening that we're not saying that competition is wrong. It's healthy and it can be healthy, right? It's just that what is the context in which
It is. It
you
is.
place it, right? So, are we creating an environment where people have to step into somebody's
Right.
neck to get to the top? Or are we creating an environment where everybody can, thrive in a group environment, a team environment, right? So let me give you an example. Many years I learned from one of the best. I was working in a packaging company. Well, it was actually a confectionery company. They did like um, you know, what we call cheese tricks. Sweeties and
Okay.
all of these stuff, right? And I was a technical person there and doing electronics engineering. So I would work on like their extruder machines, I'd work on their packaging machines and stuff like that. But one of the things that I observed from one of the production manager, he came in at a time when it was a low season for the company and we were approaching peak season, but he realized that the morale of the teams were low, right? Because I mean, in those kind of environments, people aren't well paid, right? Um, and you have
Mm.
persons who do like packing, You know, they'll count out how much, you know, of these biscuits and stuff supposed to be in a package before they seal it and all of that stuff on the production floor. So you know what that guy did, which was phenomenal? He came in one day and he got this big whiteboard and he put it up in the middle of the production plant, right? And what he did at the end of the production period, I think they run 12 hours and it was from 7 to 7, 7 in the morning, 7 into the evening. And then the other shift ran 7 to 7. So it was a 24-hour run factory, right? And what the guy did, he tallied the amount of output for the day people. So who work 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening, he tallied that and he put that up on the board. When the persons are coming in for the 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning shift, what do you think they see? That big old score on the board.
Oh, yes.
And it was like, are that the people them do? No way, them can't do better than we.
There you go.
So when he comes in the morning, he asks them, how much did you produce? And him just put that on the board. And the packaging just keep rising week after week. Till I remember the warehouse guy came in and said, look, no more, we're full. They were producing more than what was going out of the warehouse. Right? And those people got, like, I think they got like maybe 3 days break from work. Right? Because they were putting out so much.
As an incentive.
Because of competition. So competition can be really healthy. You understand what I'm saying?
In the right sphere.
Yeah, I'm putting it into the right context, you know? People working together to achieve a single goal.
Which also would speak to the strength of the leader. That manager had an insight that nobody would have even figured that just a scoreboard would change everything. Because by nature, we are competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I just want us to touch on environmental culture. There are two prominent entities in the Jamaican marketplace that I have watched, and I have seen that the culture that they created, and for 25, 30 years, they have been consistent in verbalizing both to their team members and to their clients that this is a culture. They have seen tremendous growth. And the first one I want to mention, I have a feeling that you will jump on it right away, JMB.
Oh yeah, I knew that's what you were coming with.
The culture of love.
Yeah. You know, when they started out, you felt, I mean, think about what the opposite, you know, that's true, right? You in this long queue of line, right? Waiting to be served. People upset. You have to fill out form ahead of going in. You know, the security guard tell you that you can't sit right there. You have to go over there, right?
Oh yes.
You know, just this robotic experience of being in a queue, right?
Yes.
And what they did was to create this brand of you know, homeliness. You know, you feel like you're in a place that you can relate to the people, they're relational, you know. The atmosphere is almost casual, you know.
And that for me was a big deal. If you looked at the decor,
yeah.
the tables and the workstations were not workstation cubicles anymore.
Yeah.
They were swizzle thingies.
Yeah. You know, so that culture has caused them to thrive immensely, right? Because they were deliberate about what they want. So like, for instance, Imani Duncan, I think when she was having, like she was breastfeeding. There was a
Yes.
era in which she could go, and it was known in the company that, hey, you can literally have somewhere that you can privately breastfeed and still get back to the job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they were
Right.
looking at the issues of life in terms of how do we make our staff comfortable, right? So that they can still produce, They don't have to, they have a daycare so that staff don't have to be worrying to rush off immediately at 5 because they have to catch the daycare before it closes at 6. Or else they're going to have
Correct.
to pay more money for overtime. You know what I mean? So they can
Right.
comfortably even work later because they know the kid is right around the corner being taken care of. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
The human issues.
And it's interesting because if we really take it as a study, you realize it was just small adjustments
Yeah.
that led to tremendous growth. The positivity rate, if it's something that we could measure in the mindset and the output of the employees, far exceeded the traditional, financial houses at the time. We would see the staff members that we knew from the more traditional financial houses making their way over to that company. And they were able to attract not only the brightest minds, but the best personalities, because I'm not sure if it was ever missed on you, but the personality of those from client services all the way up to the management had to be very, very endearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, wow.
And notice the choice of word that you use, right? Difference, right? Let's not miss that because it's important. Just like how you would be in the previous earlier part of our conversation, you were saying, what is your value proposition? It's really saying what is it that's different about you, right? And I remember this story of this little girl on the seashore after a huge storm, right? And of course, with the storm, the sea is so violent that it just literally belches up everything on the bottom of the sea, right? So this little girl was like taking up the starfish from off the sand and throwing them back into the sea, and
Right.
and it was like thousands of them. And she was just
Right.
there
Wow.
skipping along and taking it up and throwing them back into the sea. And this little old man came along and saw her doing it. And it's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm throwing them back in the sea, because they won't survive out here. And he's like, you don't see how much of them? It's almost impossible. They don't make no sense. It's almost impossible for you to do to make a difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
she just looked at him with glee in her eyes, bent down, take up another one, and threw it in the sea and said, well, it made a difference to that one.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Simple. Childlike innocence.
Yeah.
But so profound.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of it, right? I mean, you have to be prepared to make a difference. And to make a difference, you have to be prepared to be different. And that's what they achieved.
Yes.
That's what they achieved.
And I tell you a story. It was something I shared with my son, because it's funny, because as our children transition into adulthood, they start to sit and listen to the stories. And that's a point where I am at. And so I remember sharing with him my GMB journey. And I said, I've always wanted to save foreign currency. And when they made that offer, mark you, there were banks that you could open a foreign currency account, but it was just such a delight to be in JMB. And I remember for the US currency account, I had gotten tips. I was translating for a company in Spain. I had gotten some tips, and I went with my foreign currency. And I kid you not, I am sure it was not $10, adding up my $1 tips. And the associate said to me, it's $100 to open up the account, 100 US dollars. And I had my loose change, my dollars, maybe 6, 9, heaven knows, but it didn't get to 10. And of course, I kind of felt cute, want to kind of squeeze it back into my handbag and gently wriggle my way out of the appointment. And much to my surprise, the young lady said to me, so how much do you have today? And I said, well, I'm not at the $100 yet, because nobody wants to put themselves out there. She said, okay, so how much do you have? And I said, it's not at 100. It truly isn't. And she said, that's all right. Let me have it. So of course, very shamefacedly, I went into my bag where I'd kind of thrust it deep down to the bottom and pulled them out all crushed and wrinkled and straightened them out and counted them out. And she took them and she said, all right, so we will start with this deposit, and over time, just ensure that you come every time you have more, and together we'll build it up to $100. And with that, they have had me for 20 odd years.
Yeah. The little things that make a difference.
The little things make a big difference.
Yeah. So a lot of times, though, we think that it's the big things that we have to do to make significant changes to be noticed, or for us to be, garnering a lot, or like a huge wave of people flowing into the business and stuff like that. And yeah, it means that if what you're saying is correct, there is a chance for everybody, that the big fishes is there, and you can still be a small fish and come and eat food.
Oh, yes. Oh, quite so. And eat well. And I tell you this, we have seen time and time again that it is the upstarts that knock the established out of the game.
Yeah, isn't that? I mean, look, there's so many, if you can look in so many different industries, you see the disruptors. And these disruptors are always the small guy coming in. It's never the huge mega companies, right? So, I mean, mind you, they are the new mega companies now because of the disruption.
Yes.
Like, for instance, if you're as old as I am, you would remember when Lycos was the email engine of choice. Netscape.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. Like Yahoo was like the biggest thing. Netscape was the alternate choice to Internet Explorer. Right? And when you talk about search engine, Alta Vista was one of the search engine that was around.
That sounds familiar. Oh boy, that's really old school.
Like nowadays nobody knows anything but Google, right?
Exactly.
So Google was the disruptor because Google came in with their simplicity and the ability to produce search fast, right? Because of their simple infrastructure, the architecture of what they did, right? And they disrupted the space, and now we don't know anything but Google. Right?
That's right. It's now a term. Google it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So people are champions of the Google cause, and you look at the travel industry. you know, you remember when Orbits was like an unknown, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
Travelocity was an
yes.
unknown, and they came in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, then of course Airbnb, right? Everybody was used to the typical large scale, all inclusive, you know, chateaus and stuff like that. And then Airbnb say, yeah, man, you can rent out your house and do a thing. I'm gonna pay you.
That's right. Just a room,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can share the bathroom down the hall. And I was like, huh? Unheard of.
Total disruptor, right? Um, you can think of so many different markets. I mean, who knows about Kodak anymore?
Oh my goodness. You know, I was having a conversation with my son, and that was a conversation that was very enlightening because he gave me the connection between what I know and them disappearing, where they had an opportunity to change,
Yeah,
and they didn't,
they didn't.
and they died.
A certain death.
And I tell you, to add insult to injury, I waited too long to take in a few roles to be developed. And when I finally took them to the photo studio, they said, no, we don't have the equipment to develop those films anymore.
There you have
I
it.
was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all of these roles? And they said, oh, there is a specialist at X point, but it's going to be very expensive. And I was like, look at that. And of course, you know, they never got developed.
Yeah.
So yes, so much to talk about though, Steve.
I know, it's true.
I think we have done very, very well today. And I can't wait for our next installment.
It's been fun, Sharon. I mean, there's so much that you can learn from experiences of the past, not just from your own, but looking on and seeing the mistakes of others. And you know, one of the key things is to model success, right? You look on and see
That's
what's
correct.
working, model that, and throw away that what's not working. So yeah.
But
But
you know what I want us to talk about for our next episode? Choosing your partners. Don't jump into bed too soon.
yeah, that one is gonna be hot.
Yes, because we're going to take it all over the place.
Yeah, we're gonna wipe the floor with that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it has truly been a pleasure. And before we wrap, I just want for our listeners who have been enthralled to know a little bit about you. Who is Steve Cole?
Well, I guess I'm the kind of guy that likes to be fading in the back like black.
Ah,
I so much don't necessarily like to toot my own horn, but I have to admit that it's kind of inescapable because you become more visible the more you help, right?
correct.
But in terms of who I am, I'm someone who loves to see others win, and I kind of allowed myself to get involved in ventures around that, you know. And can I tell you, if anybody is interested in network marketing, I'm the first to tell you that, yeah, go for it.
All
Yeah.
right.
I tell you why. That's kind of where I started when it comes to you know, learning about business. Because I tell people that it's like it's a kind of business that affords you Harvard and Stafford you know, level training, you
Yes.
know, for free. It's cheap.
Mhm.
You
It
know what
is
I mean?
true.
Yeah, there's so much you can learn from them. And I think that's the most valuable part of that kind of business. And also it teaches you a certain skill set in terms of needing uh, people to, because it takes grouping a group of people to work at a singular goal to achieve that goal, that everybody in that group is successful, right? And that's a skill set I think every business person needs to learn. But anyway, I digress. It's the point is that I really did start there, and I think that's a part of what had grown me and attracted me to the world of business, right? So I started out in the world of engineering as an individual looking to start a career, and then I progressed into the IT space because I saw where engineers were no longer carrying, Phillips screwdrivers and flatheads, but they were carrying laptops. And I know that we had to get into the world of IP.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I was there when things were turning. And so that kind of dates me. Do you have an idea?
Oh, I'm journeying with you for sure.
Yeah, that was my trajectory. And so while I was actually, being trained in engineering, I got into the world of computing and started as a technician learning to build computers and, you know, designing. And I guess I followed that trajectory into the world of, leading teams in that area. So my specialization was support, and that would include networking, servers, and IP telephony. Yeah, so those are my area of expertise for years. And while I was honing those skills, my love and passion for sales and marketing grew, and entrepreneurship. So since then, I can tell you I started numerous businesses, failed miserably at many.
Oh boy.
And I think my most successful business was my affiliate marketing business that's still going strong. And then I got into the world of trading, where I learned that skill. So I was in the forex market, foreign exchange market, trading, and did pretty well at that. So I kind of built a business around that as well, where we were offering that service to individuals to bring a higher yield to them for their investment. So yeah, that's kind of my activities. um,
And so, of course, we know that it's not fluff, it's muscle. We're speaking to the experienced.
yeah, there's a lot of experience behind it. And as I tell you, we did some, those some angel investment, as would have alluded to in the conversation we've had just now, where we would partner with persons who were micro business getting started. And because me and my partners were skilled in, they were from diverse background. So we brought our skills to the table to help others to get off the ground. So we kind of took joy in that. So that's where we helped out in terms of the pleasure of seeing other people win. They win, we win too, because we get paid for doing it. So
Awesome, awe-inspiring. Well, we have countless other journeys to go on, and I look forward to every tantalizing moment. And can't thank you enough for making the time today. Steve Gold, persona extraordinaire.